Welcome, fourth graders, to Unit 2, Lesson 4. Our focus today will be finding the perimeter and area of rectangles and squares. On the bottom here, I've included a handy-dandy picture of a rectangle, one of the quadrilaterals we've learned about in this unit, and a picture of a square, another quadrilateral we've learned about in this unit. Remember that both rectangles and squares are parallelograms because they have two pairs of parallel sides. Rectangles have opposite sides that are equal, and squares have all four equal sides. I'm super excited to share this wonderful vocabulary with you. Our first important term is perimeter. It is the measure of distance around the outside of a figure. For example, when you're putting a fence around a yard, you would have to find the measure of the distance around your yard in order to buy enough fence. Another term is area. Now, area is different in that it's the measure of square units inside a figure. Keyword inside. An example of this would be putting tiles on your floor. Key thing to remember is that perimeter is the distance on the outside of a figure, and area is the square units inside of the figure. Let's look at some amazing examples. So here, I'm going to show you how to find the perimeter and area of rectangles. When you're finding perimeter, remember I'm finding the distance on the outside of the figure. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to add the length and the width along with the other length and the other width. You'll notice I've written down a handy-dandy formula for you to help you remember. So P stands for perimeter, my L stand for length, my W stands for width. Remember that if this width is 2 centimeters, across the rectangle is the same measurement of 2 centimeters. Same thing with the length. If the top length here is 3 centimeters, the other side is equal, so it will also be 3 centimeters. In order to find the perimeter of this rectangle, I just need to add up all the sides, because remember, perimeter is the distance outside, on the outside of our figure. So I'm going to go ahead and write out my numbers to get ready. So I'm adding my lengths, 3 plus 3, plus my widths, 2 plus 2. When I add this up, I'll end up with 6 plus 4, and I will end up with a perimeter of 10, and I noticed that the measurement was centimeters. Now, area, remember, is the measurement on the inside of the rectangles, the square units inside. To find area, the formula is length times width. You'll notice this looks like an array. Do you notice how it's 3 by 2? In order to find the measurement of an array, we always multiply 3 by 2, or if it's 4 by 5. So we are going to measure that. So I know it's 3 by 2. So I'm going to take 3, the length, times 2, the width, and I'll end up with my area of 6. And we label area centimeters squared because we found the square units inside of a figure, and we're multiplying 2 dimensions. So 6 centimeters squared is our area. Lucky for you, I have yet another example to show you finding perimeter and area of rectangles. This is a different sized rectangle to show you. I still have my formulas present as a handy-dandy tool. Remember that perimeter is the distance on the outside of a figure, so I'm adding both lengths plus both widths. For area, I will be multiplying length times width because I need to find how many tiles or square units are inside of the figure. So let's get started. Because of rectangles having 2 pairs of equal sides here, I know that if this is 8 centimeters, straight across from it, the other length is also 8 centimeters. I know that if the left 2 centimeters matches the opposite side, which it does, I'll also have 2 centimeters here. I'm ready to start adding for my perimeter. 8 plus 8, got both lengths, plus 2 plus 2. Get my widths involved. Add my 8s. 8 plus 8 gives me 16. 2 plus 2 gives me 4. Add those together. I end up with 20 centimeters for my perimeter. Area time. Remember, I'm finding how many square units are inside of this figure by doing length times width. So I take 8 times 2, and that will equal 16 centimeters squared. Remember, we found the square units inside of the figure, so we have to label it 16 centimeters squared because I multiplied the 2 dimensions, length times width. Now that we're pros on rectangles, we're going to go on to finding perimeter and area of squares. The nice thing about this is, folks, it's the same formula. How nice and simple is that? So perimeter, again, distance around the outside of our figure. So I'm just going to add up the lengths plus the widths. And this time, because a square has all equal sides, I'm just adding 8 4 times. Or, for those of you who are quite intelligent, which I know all of you are, couldn't I just take 8 times 4? Because there's 4 sides measuring 8 feet? Either way, I'll end up with the same answer of 32 feet for my perimeter. Ooh, my label got a little funny there. Now I'm ready to find area. This time, remember, I'm taking length times width to find how many square units fit inside this figure. So in that case, I'll be taking 8 times 8. My area ends up being 64 centimeters squared. One last example for you before I release you to conquer this concept. I'm going to give you another example of a square. This time, this square is 4 inches by 4 inches. Remember, squares have all 4 equal sides, so that means these sides are also 4 inches. Finding the perimeter, I need to add up all those sides because I need to find the distance around the figure. So 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. Remember, I could do 4 times 4 because there are 4 sides of 4 inches. Woo, that's a lot of 4s. Either way, I'll end up with the answer 16 inches for my perimeter. Area, we're going to take length times width. So 4 times 4. We're finding the square units inside of our figure. I end up with 16 centimeters squared. To conclude, as long as you remember these 2 formulas and their meanings, you will be golden. Remember that perimeter is the distance around the outside of the figure. And you find that by adding up the length plus width. And area are the square units that cover or fit inside of a figure. You find that by taking length times width. Now, ladies and gents, I know that you are so excited to try it on your own. So you have your very own ticket. 2 problems for you to solve. The first one says, Mrs. Torseth is tiling her bathroom floor. How many 1-foot squares of tile will she need for her bathroom that is 6 feet by 8 feet? Then I have another example for you of a square that's 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters. I'd like you to find the perimeter and area. Good luck. I know you will rock it.